So the upcoming Stellar Blade has quickly become one of my most anticipated games releasing this year. And today I found out some more information that made me even more excited for this April release. And I thought, hey, why don't I just share this with a lot of you guys, because I assume that some of you just haven't seen this information yet. Now, the reason I say this is that there was a recent interview between Shift Up CEO Kim Young-tae and the Korean gaming magazine RuliWeb. Now, in this interview, we actually learn several new things about Stellar Blade, some details which a lot of people have been a little bit concerned about, and rightfully so. But before we get into that, Kim here was actually asked first if there were any particular games that had inspired Kim and the team that have, of course, developed Stellar Blade. To which Kim responded with, of course, we were influenced by many action games that have been released so far, but we did not focus on any one work in particular. The identity pursued by Stellar Blade is unique to us. You can freely choose whether to respond defensively or counterattack aggressively by observing enemy patterns through skill and gear settings. Also, the play pattern changes significantly depending on whether it's a melee or ranged weapon. If you play the demo version that will be released soon, you will be able to clearly feel the unique action of Stellar Blade. This is, of course, something that I can personally vouch for because I've been playing the demo a few times now, and yeah, there's definitely a difference between using Eve's gun or using her melee combat. In any case, the interviewer actually mentions how Eve feels very different from traditional protagonists, saying, even though it is my first attempt at a console title, the level of action is excellent. Eve's acrobatic movements were like watching a gymnast competing at the Olympics. To which Kim responds with, as I featured an attractive female warrior as the main character, I wanted to give it a different feel from the typical male action scenes. So I actually tried to express acrobatic movements by taking a lot of inspiration from ballet and gymnastics. Although Stellar Blade is our first console title, the main development team has worked together once on a major game in the past, which was Blade and Soul. Thanks to this, such a high quality result was possible. The interview continued with the interviewer saying, all I could think of was killing enemies quickly and coolly, but when I played it myself, it turned out to be a traditional action that was not as easy as I thought. Hitting, blocking, and dodging are important. To which Kim responded, aren't there many different types of action games? The action that Stellar Blade pursues is not a one-sided attack and a spectacular defeat of the opponent, no matter who they are. It was important to recognize what actions the enemy was taking and respond to them. That is, to feel that the monster and I were in harmony. However, as mentioned earlier, it is not impossible to enjoy it like a hack and slash depending on character growth, skills, and gear settings. I hope you look forward to those elements as well. Now yes, obviously you can play Stellar Blade as a traditional hack and slash and just spam your way through the game, but I would suggest doing so on story difficulty because otherwise you'll get your ass kicked. Now, Kim also responded to something that has been very recent, and that is the discussion surrounding Eve. And so the interviewer continues saying, relatedly, some Western media outlets expressed discomfort with the portrayal of female characters in Stellar Blade. Are you aware of these issues? To which Kim responds, I know that in the West, game characters must reflect realistic appearances in many ways, and that numerous issues such as gender and racial diversity are intertwined. However, Stellar Blade is only entertainment and a cultural product. I hope you'll keep an eye on this as a fun action game that has just been released. So what Kim is saying here is don't take this game too seriously. They have a certain vision and a certain visual flair and style for this game. But from my perspective, what it seems like Kim and the team are doing here is that they are reeling people in, essentially baiting people with a very attractive main character and several side characters that are very attractive as well, but they're gonna hit you hard and demolish you emotionally as the story progresses, as that seems to be a common ingredient in previous games made by Shift Up, like Nikke. We also have other games that clearly inspired Stellar Blade, like Nier Automata, and if you've played Nier Automata, you'll know that the story is pretty heavy. Now, getting to some of the more interesting details in this interview, Kim was asked whether there was any significant differences from the launch build and the demo build. In the case of Stellar Blade, the trial version and the main game were closed on the same day, as in finished. However, we are preparing a separate day one patch, so even if there are parts that you feel are lacking in the trial version, please look forward to the main game. The interviewer continued, saying, "Today's console titles do not end with release. In addition to content updates, including DLC releases, we also provide balance patches if necessary." To which Kim responded, "Of course, if we accidentally missed something or there is something lacking, we will make up for it even after release. We will be providing a balance patch to prevent inconveniences for those who come in later and to make the game even more enjoyable for those who started playing first. The release of DLC has not been determined, but free updates such as additional costumes are being prepared. We would like to make it clear here that Stellar Blade does not require any additional expenses that gamers are not aware of other than the cost of purchasing the package. The only exception is if we create a collaboration costume with another company's IP. That amount can be sold for a fee. Also, there is no New Game Plus in the released version, so please look forward to it being updated very soon." So, you heard it here first, guys. There are additional outfits that you will be able to download for free after the game has been released. And there supposedly seems to be no microtransactions as far as we know. At least Kim here says that there are no additional purchases that you need to buy aside from the game. And I think this comes as a response, at least a little bit, with regards to how Capcom handled Dragon's Dogma 2 when its release with copious amounts of microtransactions that a lot of people, even reviewers, didn't even really know was going to be there on launch. So it's pretty reassuring to see Kim say, "Hey, don't worry about it, you get the full game." He's essentially taking the Larian route, which is amazing. Now, obviously, if the game turns out to be really good, I think a lot of us want to see future DLC, more content. But obviously, that's something that you can only start doing when you know that the game is going to be successful or not. On the other hand, though, Stellar Blade is topping the pre-orders over on the PlayStation Store, so it's already pretty successful. Sadly, he says here also that there will be no New Game Plus at launch, but it's something that they're working on, so might be a while before we see it, but he says that it's something that we could look forward to getting introduced to the game very soon, so probably not that long. Now, if you want to read the full interview here, I've added a link in the comments below, but just a reminder, it's in Korean, so you might have to use Google Translate to translate the entire page to read it. But in my opinion, this was the most interesting information gained from the article. Now, while we're still talking about the CEO, in case you missed it, none other than the legendary Hideo Kojima himself was visited by Kim. And he also left his autograph in Hideo's studio. Now, while this isn't really related to the game, it's still pretty cool to see, this kind of respect between two developers. Now, to finish things off here, you might remember that IGN France had a pretty rough week, because after posting an article where they talked about Stellar Blade and actually sort of trashed Eve's design in a pretty insulting way, they've actually gone forward and apologized for even saying the things they did in the previous article. So let's look over what they have to say here. Recently, IGN France produced and published a preview of Stellar Blade containing an offensive passage that should never have been kept. The text has now been edited, and here is our official apology to the Shift Up Corporation studio staff. Also, please note that IGN France is an independent branch of IGN and that IGN's editorial staff had nothing to do with this incident. The original text of the Stellar Blade preview contained comments that were out of place. While it was never our intention to disrespect Shift Up or any of its employees or their work, we recognize that the phrase taken in its literal sense was inappropriate and we regret it. To anyone at Shift Up Corporation who felt personally targeted and insulted by this passage, we are truly sorry and sincerely apologize. So, I mean, it's pretty good that they were apologizing for this, because it was very much like their title suggests here, a kind of a slap in the face to Shift Up, and particularly to Kim, I think. Then again, they have apologized. Now take that for what you will. I'm just saying, this is what they said. Whether you think it's sincere or not, that's up to you. But hopefully that ends most of the drama surrounding Stellar Blade. Now, I know that it will not, because there are simply other people that feel the way that this IGN article originally expressed. But in case you're one of those people who are kind of on the fence about it and you haven't tried the demo, trust me, if you like my videos, if you like my content, if you approve of my opinions and ideas and whatnot, try it out. Try it out. Don't let it scare you away, even if you do feel like it's Eve's absurdly sexualized. Have you played Nier Automata? If you have, I'm telling you, try it out, okay? But that's going to be all for today. Remember to subscribe to Mr. Holton for more Stellar Blade. And do let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Mr. Holton, signing out.